So make your way to a comfortable seat. We're not going to use any specific props today, but if you have a blanket, you can always put that under your bum to give your hips a little extra height. And so once you get to your seat, go ahead and place your hands wherever is comfortable. That can be on your knees, on the mat, on your thighs, or on your belly if you want to feel your breath with your hands. Cast your eyes down or close them all the way without dropping your chin. And just start to breathe. In through the nose and out through the nose. If your nose is stuffy, use your mouth. But imagine that the breath is going through your nose. On your next inhale, take the breath all the way down into the pelvic floor. Letting your belly expand, and your belly expanding, pushing your pelvic floor down on the inhale. And then on the exhale, feel your pelvic floor lift a little bit. And as you continue to breathe, allow that movement of the belly and the pelvic floor. And then on your next inhale, allow the breath to not only go down, but also go up underneath your clavicles and shoulders. Feeling the breath help you be long through the spine. And on the exhale, try to keep that length, but allow the muscles to come back towards center. And then on the next inhale, the pelvic floor goes down, the breath goes up under the shoulders, and also allow your rib cage to expand in all 6 directions. Front, back, side, side, and then up and down. And then take maybe 5 or 10 more slow breaths like this. That will take about a minute or more. Trying to lengthen the inhale, lengthen the exhale. If you want to take a sigh out of the mouth or a little candle breath where you blow between your lips like you're making a candle flicker, you can take that sort of exhale. And then slowly and gently open your eyes. Lean back into your hands. Let your legs come out, and you can either kick them or rock the knees, whatever feels comfortable. So I know a lot of times we do something in class and I suggest that you do it during the week, and then the next week I come back and you guys are like, nope, we didn't do any of it, which is totally fine. But this week, I'm going to give you an assignment, and I actually want you guys to do it because it is so worth it. So there is a podcast called Finding Fred, and each episode is about a half an hour, which is the perfect amount for a little walk, right? So during a walk, you can listen to it however you do that. For me, I just download it on my computer. Finding Fred, it's about Fred Rogers. And so I know I haven't seen the most recent movie, it's on my list to see, but it is an amazing, it's hosted by a journalist. So the journalist went and interviewed a bunch of people that had been affected or known Fred Rogers really well. And so it's all about, and it's very yoga. Even though they don't ever mention yoga, it's all about yoga. And so today I'm gonna share a couple of quotes from the very last episode. There are 10 episodes, so it's 5.5 hours total. Totally worth it. Best 5.5 hours I've ever spent. I'm actually about to re-listen to it. But I just re-listened to the 10th episode, the last one. And so I'm going to share some quotes from that episode. And yeah, it's really thought-provoking, and it's really, like, it's both interesting about his life, but also, like, I mean, I never watched, I mean, I did, but my brothers made fun of me for watching it, so then I stopped pretty quickly. So, like, it's very interesting, even for a person that, like, never watched it. If you find yourself in that category, I think it's even more interesting for people that did watch it. And then it's just amazing, like, for your own reflection and whatever. So that's kind of going to be our intention today around some of the quotes that I pulled from the 10th episode. But it's, like, highly, highly worth it. I'll tell you again at the end, just in case you forget, but it's called Finding Fred. And you can find it anywhere you find podcasts. And if you don't know how to do that, I can help you, because it's that good. Okay, so let's find our seat again. Legs crossed if that's comfortable for you. Let's come back to that breath. In through the nose, out through the nose. The next inhale, turn your palms up and reach up to the sky. Exhale, lean to the right. Hold for a breath, inhale. Feel the stretch in your side body. Exhale there. And then on your next inhale, come to center and exhale to the other side. Try to make sure you're not leaning forward or leaning back. Leaning back is less common. Try to stay exactly side to side. And then go at your own pace. So when you lean one direction, you can take a breath, or you can move it a little bit faster by going each breath to a movement. Center is always an inhale. Exhale into the pose. And then once you've done about even on both sides, you're probably going to the left for your last time. Then come to center and come forward. And wherever your body stops you, try to plant your hands somewhere so that they can support your body, and let your neck hang. Take a few deep breaths into the back body, so allowing those back ribs to really expand up towards the ceiling or the back wall, depending on how forward you are, and out towards the side walls. And then on your next inhale, walk your hands towards your body, rolling up through the spine. And when you come up, then let your chin go back down. And just gently do little half circles. So ear to one shoulder, and then back to chin towards the chest. And you can go at your own pace. If you find a spot that's like twinge, you can pause there and take a couple deep breaths. We'll spend about 8 breaths doing this so that you have time to release some of that tension that's held in your neck. And then in the next breath or two, bring your chin back down towards your chest. Pause there for a moment. Take a breath. Try to make your spine long other than the neck that's allowing the head to bend forward. And then lift the gaze. Let's come over onto our hands and knees. And when you get there, go ahead and do a couple cat-cows. Inhale into cow and exhale to round the back into cat. Go ahead and do those on your own. So however fast or slow. Again, if you want to hold for a breath or two, if you want to stretch anyway by wagging the tail or doing any other version, you can do that. So in the 10th episode of Finding Fred, the host interviews actually a meditation teacher. So it's like the one time they get super close to yoga. Maybe she's a yoga teacher too. And she says that every day she takes the love that she needs and gives the rest away. That is her kind of way to make sure she is full enough to serve others. So you have to take some of the love that's sent your way, but any extra, she thinks it's like our prerogative to give it away. And then she said, when you give it to strangers, you expect nothing back. And that's the best way to give love. So again, because we do yoga, we're good at practicing things. And so I think she's saying that when you practice giving love to strangers, that's the time that you can easily give love with no strings attached. And then once you practice that, we want to bring that back to how we give love to those who are in our everyday life. When you're ready, come into child's pose. Reflect for a moment how that might look in your everyday life. What would change if you always gave your extra love away without expecting anything back? Let's come back up to table. So for me personally, I think often I give love away with strings attached, to especially my family, because maybe I'm not full enough, right? So maybe it's because I'm a little bit too empty. I'm giving so much, especially as a mom to young ones, that I don't have enough. So when I give love to my husband, I'm expecting something back. Right? I mean, that's just kind of my reality. So let's come to table and extend the right leg behind you, heel hip height or lower. And you can stay right here. That can be your spinal balance. You can also extend the left arm, hand towards midline. And then if you wish, with your breath, that hopefully you are breathing deeply and steadily, on the exhales, you can pull it in. And on the inhales, you can extend. If it's too much to do the arm and the leg, you can do those little pull-ins with just the leg and the head. So what would it look like if we were all full enough that we could freely give love without any expectation of return? And then when we do get return, again, we repeat the cycle. We keep what we need and we give the rest away without strings attached. Do 2 more if you still have that in you. And then you can pause for a breath or 2, or you can let the hand and the knee or whatever was in the air come down right away, and then rest into child's pose. So then imagine the world if we were all keeping enough love to stay full and giving the rest freely away. How different would our world look if every single person was actually doing that? So thoughts like that kind of overwhelm me, but I know that if I wanted something like that, it has to start with me. So yoga is part of getting enough, right? Yoga is one way that we can fill ourselves and maybe have extra for the people around us. Let's come back up to table. When you have your joints stacked, left leg goes out behind. Toes point down to the ground. Beautiful. Maybe right arm extends, palm facing midline. Maybe you just hold here. Maybe you flow with the breath. Exhales to bring it in. Inhales to extend. Maybe you do that just with the leg. Move with the breath. And if you have extra thinking brain power, kind of meditate or focus the mind on this idea of keeping the love that you need and giving the rest away freely. Exhale to bring it in if you're choosing to do spinal balance that way today. Inhale to reach. Trying to create space between the hand and the foot, so height doesn't matter. It's the reach. 2 more, if you've got that in you. And then gently float the knee, and if the hand was up, the hand back down to the mat, and take another child's. So with your hands extended out above your head, maybe try to prop your hands up on the fingertips and just notice what that does for your shoulders and your upper back. And if you hate it, then go back with the palms down, but maybe it will stretch something that wasn't being stretched before. Take a few breaths with the fingers tented up or the hands tented up. And then allow the hands to come back down. Just notice the shift in neck, shoulders, back. And then when you're ready, take a deep inhale, lift the head and the shoulders a little bit, walk the hands over to the right, and then sink down, depending if your knees are narrow or wide. Maybe your chest or your belly is on top of your leg. That's totally fine. Your head doesn't have to hit the ground. Just sink into it. Feel maybe a side stretch. Inhale, lift the gaze, walk the hands through center and all the way over to the left. And exhale to sink in. Again, maybe you feel a side stretch. It might happen way down at the hip. It might happen in the middle of your torso. It might happen through the shoulder or even the arm. But somewhere from fingertip down to hip, you should feel a nice lengthening stretch. On your next inhale, lift the gaze, walk the hands back to center, come into your normal child's pose. And then after maybe one breath, tent the fingers again if you did that the first time. If you hated it the first time, don't do it now. Choose not today. And then let the palms come back down to the mat. On your next inhale, lift the torso and the shoulders enough that you can slide your right hand underneath your left armpit and come into a twist. So if you want the normal thread the needle instead of the child's pose version, feel free to come up to table and take that. But if you want to do something a little different, go ahead and just slide that left hand as far as it can reach. Turn the head onto the side to look towards your left arm and sink into it. My hope is that you can feel some sort of stretch across either the back of the shoulder or the back of the right side of the upper back, or maybe it's in the left side of your upper back. And if you don't feel any of those, but you feel a good stretch somewhere else, that's great too. But those areas, the back of the right shoulder, the back of the right upper back, and the back of the left upper back are the three places this is intended to stretch. One more breath. And then when you're ready, inhale, turn the head, lift the shoulders, and reach that right arm back. And a child's pose for a breath, just to notice the difference between the sides. How does the right side feel compared to the left side? And then when you're ready, inhale, lift the head, the shoulders, the torso, just enough to slide that left arm underneath the right armpit. Turn the head. The right arm stays extended out, or it can support you in any way you need it. Deep breaths, and on the exhales, try to just relax the body down, letting go of all the muscles. There's actually nothing you need to hold you up right now. You're fully supported by your mat. So can you sink into that on the exhales? If you're tight like me in the upper back, you really feel this. I don't know what it is like anymore to be loose in the upper back. 5 years of lifting children, I think, has caused me to be tight forever. So maybe you need something a little extra. You can always play around in the pose to try to stretch the intended area. When you're ready, inhale, lift the head, lift the shoulders, come back to a regular child's pose. Just for a moment, and then come up to a table. If you need to shake out the legs because we've been in child's pose for a long time, you can do that one at a time. If you need to get off your knees, we're about to do that, so don't worry. But before we come away from table, let's do what Tamara calls Komodo dragon, which I'm still getting used to, but I like a lot. So your hips go one way, and then the center of your body follows, and then your shoulder follows as your hips go the other way. So you're doing like a wave in your body, right? So eventually your hips and your shoulders are kind of in the opposite direction. Like those Chinese New Year parades when they have the dragons that are like going like this. That's kind of what you're trying to get your body from your hips to your shoulders to do. So I always feel like if I do it right, and I try not to like, don't think about it too much, I can feel a stretch in my hip, and then I feel a stretch in my side, and then sometimes I feel a stretch on the outer part of my shoulder. And then when you feel silly enough, like I always do, sit back, let your legs come around to a seated position. We're gonna have the legs straight out. So this is a time where you could put something under your bum if you know that you have tight hamstrings, or you can just bend the knees a little bit. Flex your feet, let your toes point up to the sky. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, we're gonna lean, hinge from the hips, but keep us straight back. So we're not gonna allow our bodies to round, and we're gonna bring our hands down. So keep your back straight. That might mean that you don't go forward very far, and that's totally fine. Take a breath or two. Just feel where you feel the sensation. Whether it's like higher up in your hamstrings, lower, back of the knee, calves, maybe it's your Achilles tendon. And then walk your hands towards your hips and just wiggle out a little bit. And then on your next inhale, sweep the arms up. Hinge again from the hips. Don't allow your back to round. Let your hands come down. I promise we will round. It feels so hard. I just want to round. So if you're like me, just be patient. Take a few deep breaths. Notice, were you able to hinge like half a millimeter more? Maybe, maybe not. Noticing without judgment, allowing us to practice that form of self-love, noticing ourselves, noticing our bodies, noticing our thoughts, noticing our reactions, our inner reactions, our emotions without judgment. I strongly believe that's a form of self-love and therefore self-care. Let's bring our hands towards our hips and then wiggle out a little bit if you need to shake the legs. We're gonna round this time, I promise. But first, straight back. Inhale when you're ready. Sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Let the hands come down and then round. Probably your hands will walk forward some amount. It might be an inch, it might be a lot. And whatever part of your leg or your foot, or you can drop your hands to the mat, wherever you want to be in this forward fold, just enjoy the sensation. If now that we're folded, some of the sensation is in your back, just be aware of that too. Those are places where you're tight. If you do a lot of gardening and hence weeding, you are probably tight somewhere in your back. So just notice that, and those might be places that you want to roll out on a tennis ball or on the melt balls or on a roller, just so that we don't end up carrying around unnecessary tension with us. You can gently rock side to side, or you can stay still. And then when you're ready, walk the hands towards the hips, roll up through the spine, bring the feet together, knees out, Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose. Sit tall. I like to rock so that I can like feel my sits bones and kind of scoot my sits bones back, and then it helps me sit more tall. And just a few breaths here. Feeling the inner thighs start to let go. Try to let them go so that the knees just have gravity pulling them down. And then if you want to, you can forward fold. So you can walk the hands forward, or you can keep hands on the ankles. I like to use my elbows to try to help my knees open a little bit more as I fold. Or you can sit tall, either way. It just depends on what your body wants and needs and is capable of in this moment. We won't stay here long, so take a breath. And then wherever you are, come back to a long spine. Use the hands to bring the knees together. Extend the legs, lean back, kick out the legs a little bit, and then bend the knees and rock them side to side. Feet can be wide, they can be narrow, whatever you want or need in this moment. And then eventually pause, keep the knees bent. I'm gonna turn, we're gonna roll down. So make sure your hips are in the center of your mat. If you have a prop under you, maybe take that out. And if you wanna do a little extra ab work, you can go through a boat, or you can just roll down, which is what I'm gonna do. Using your hands behind your thighs to help you. Keep your knees bent once you're down. Take the knees, not knees, the feet as wide as your mat, and then rock the knees. So the knees may or may not come down as far as they do, or you might have extra space. Hands can be anywhere you want them, on your belly to feel your breath, down by your sides. Slow rocks. If you find a place where you want to take a breath, feel free to pause there. And then move along. Always remembering our breath. Our breath is something that we have with us. It's like my savior when I don't have a full cup and chaos is ensuing. I always try to remember to come back to my breath, take a breath or two before I deal with whatever is happening. And then bring the knees back and into the chest and rock side to side if that's something you like doing. So I'm going to suggest a twist, but you can, of course, take whatever twist you like best. So I'm going to suggest taking the right knee into the chest and the left leg all the way down the mat. And then we're going to twist from here. If you do not like this twist, feel free to choose something else, like knees together or knees crossed like eagle or whatever it is that you want. But whichever twist you're going to do, right hand's going to come out to a T. And then left hand will guide the single knee or multiple knees across the midline. Keeping the right shoulder grounded on the mat. Just go as far as your body will allow. And then you can choose if you move your head. So you can take the head over to the right, or you can leave it gazing up at the sky or the ceiling, whichever one you have. Some people even like to look towards the twist. So if you've never done that before, you can play with that today, or keep that in mind to play with a different day. Some deep breaths here, noticing where your breath has lots of space, noticing where it has a little bit less space. Twists are really good for digestion. Not the best for when you've eaten too much. That can be painful and uncomfortable. But a while after you eat a big meal, it's a good idea to twist, help that food move through the digestive system. Bring the knee back to center. Slowly. If you chose a different twist, now go ahead and extend that left leg down the mat so the right leg is bent. We're going to do that little flow. So we're going to start by inhaling and pulling the knee into the chest. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders. Inhale, head and shoulders come down to the mat. Exhale, knee moves away. Inhale, pull the knee in. Exhale, head and shoulders lift. Inhale, they come down to the mat. Exhale, knee moves away. Inhale, knee comes in. Exhale, draw the shoulders and head towards the knee. Inhale, they go down. Exhale, knee goes away. One more time with your breath. I'll stop talking. And then once you're done with that round, circle the knee. You can use your hand or your hands to help the big circles working into that hip joint. And then go the other way. So doing something like this brings extra fluid in to joints. So anytime you kind of work a joint like this, so if you have pain in joints, it's a good idea to do gentle movements like this, kind of at the edge of the mobility of that joint. And then pause when you're ready. Place the right foot down in line with the right hip. Left foot joins the right foot. So we're prepping for a little bridge flow here in between the sides. Hands next to the hips, palms facing down, pressing gently into the mat to engage the triceps. When you inhale next, press your low back on the mat, and then lift your hips off the mat. And then on the exhale, roll back down. So these can just be little bridges. Inhale, press the low back onto the mat, and lift the hips up. And then exhale, roll down the spine. Inhale, press the low back onto the mat, lift the hips. Exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae comes down to the mat, and then release the abs so that the low back pops off the mat. And then again, inhale, press the low back on the mat, lift the hips. And then roll back down. Rock the knees. Maybe you can take the feet wide, or maybe this time you stay narrow. Breathing. And then bring everything back to center. We're gonna start with the twist. So left knee comes into the chest, and then your choice, but maybe right leg extends down the mat. Left arm out to a T. Right hand guides the left knee across the midline into the supine spinal twist. Deep breaths. Maybe bringing the mind back to this idea of keeping the love that you need and giving the rest away freely. No strings attached. And of course, my question is always, what would that look like? Like, how would that be different than what I have done in the past? And that answer is, of course, different for each of us in every different situation. Two more deep breaths in this twist. Bring the knee back to center. When you get there, circles, hip circles, one direction. So noticing how your hip feels. My left hip always pops like crazy. Then reverse the direction. Circles can be as big or as small as you want them to be. And of course, if you have an injury, taking the extra care that you need to. The more aware of our body we are, the better we can take care of it. And then bring the knee into the chest. Pause there for a moment. Come back to the breath. And then when you're ready, inhale, bring the knee in towards the chest, hug it in. Exhale, draw the head and shoulders towards the knee. Inhale, release back to the mat. Exhale, knee moves away. Inhale, draw the knee in. Exhale, draw the shoulders and head in. Inhale, release back to the mat. Exhale, knee moves away. 3 more times with your breath. And when you're done, go ahead and pull both knees in, rock side to side. If you want to take a bridge here as a transition, you can, or you can just rock side to side, or you could choose to rock front and back along the spine, if you like that. Kind of is a nice massage for all those muscles that run up and down the spine, all those muscles that connect horizontally to the spine. If you're tight in your back and this is available to you, it can be really nice. And then everyone will eventually come back to the bridge prep pose, but we're not going to do more bridges, don't worry. We're going to do figure 4. So cross the right ankle onto the left thigh. Pause there for a moment. Make sure your spine is in line. And then just notice, is today a day that your left leg has space to go into the air? If it is, then maybe lift the left leg. Take whatever you can, the size of your yoga pants. Maybe your hands wrap all the way around. Maybe the leg extends up to the sky. Maybe it keeps the bend in the knee. Maybe the ankle circles. Maybe it stays still. You have so many choices in how to make this your own. You can rock side to side gently. Just notice that when you rock towards your left, the stretch gets more intense, so be gentle. Deep breaths. Keep the right foot flexed to protect the right knee, no matter what version of this you are doing. Maybe bring the mind back to this idea of filling your own love cup and having extra that's flowing out, and then allowing that extra to be given out freely. And the thing for me, so this is my personal note, is the most important thing for me is noticing when my cup or my love isn't full enough, right? Because the quicker that I can notice that and then go do something about it, the better for not only me, but everyone around me. And so sometimes I notice that I am totally drained and I can't do anything about it until maybe even the next day. And that's okay. But if I'm aware of the fact that I am empty, or I am getting very close to empty, then I am more cautious about everything, which is good, because when I'm empty, I'm not like always making the best decisions, right, about how to treat people around me. Let that left leg, if it was in the air, float down to the ground, uncross the right leg, and then take some motion that you want. Knee rocks, maybe a happy baby, maybe pulling knees into the chest and rocking, whatever it is that your body wants to do before the next stop. So awareness is something that we practice all the time on our yoga mat. And that is one of the key things that I have been able to take off with me into the real world, right? So what are we doing when we come do yoga? We are practicing. What are we practicing for? We're practicing for our everyday life. And if we're not taking something from our mat out into the world, then the time on our mat is just performance. It's not really, I want to say, worth anything other than maybe momentarily feeling better in our body, which is valuable. But our yoga practice can be so much more. When you're ready, make sure your spine is in a nice straight line, up and down. Cross the left leg onto the right thigh. Left foot stays flexed, and then just pause for a moment. Notice whether it's right for you today to lift the right leg into the air, and then act on what you notice. Take any of the variations mentioned on the other side, or just copy what you did on the other side. Breathing deep. Maybe thinking about how to give love away freely. Maybe thinking about how to better notice when you are not full enough. And what would you do? Deep breaths. Two more breaths. And then let your right leg, if it's in the air, float back down to the mat. Uncross the left leg. And then take maybe 2 minutes of yogi playtime. If you want another twist, that's great. If you want to do another bridge, if you want to do happy baby, you can take that. Whatever speaks to you in these last few moments before Shavasana. Maybe you want a few more ab exercises. Feel free to do that. Strengthening the core. Keep your breath large and steady and smooth. One more minute. And if you are already ready for Shavasana, feel free to move in that direction if you're not already there. Traditional Shavasana is heels about mat width, allowing the hips to relax so the feet flail out to the side, tucking shoulder blades gently underneath the body, but not squeezing them tight. And then arms a little bit away from the body. Palms up is often a sign of receiving. Palms down is a sign of turning inward. Or if you're like me, tight shoulders makes palms down really uncomfortable. So picking whatever is best for you. Let's try to think about our heart space. Maybe as we drift into Shavasana, really focusing in on our heart space, noticing what our heart space is feeling like right now. Is it full? Is it 80%, 50%, 20%, 0%? And then what are the things that we could do to fill it up? Do we need a hug from the people that we live with? Do we need extra time with good messages? Whether that's reading a book or watching an inspiring YouTube video. Do we need to get out into nature or out into sunlight, fresh air? Whatever it is for you, noticing, being aware of where you are and knowing yourself well enough to get where you want to be. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back to the space around you. Feel the air on your skin. Begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe reach arms overhead. Gently and slowly waking up the body. Maybe bending knees, planting feet, pressing into the feet to release the low back, and then maybe rocking knees, and eventually rocking all the way over to one side. Gently and slowly pushing yourself up to a seated position, coming back to where we started. Reaching the arms overhead, draw the hands through heart center. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. Gather the sunlight, gather the love. Exhale, bring it into you. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hold the hands at heart center. Maybe allowing the thumbs to touch your chest, bow the head. Take a breath, looking inward, connecting with that heart space, trying to keep that connection regardless of what the outside world brings you. Lift the gaze. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste. Namaste.